right. Welcome everyone to our first webinar in our 2025 Fall Fundraising Series. I see we have a good number of people on. I'm sure more will hop on as we continue this webinar today. This is something, just so you all know, that we do each season where we offer free learning sessions on relevant topics to PTO and PTA leaders, where you get to hear directly from our fundraising coaches. So for those new to Get Moving, we're a company built by parent group leaders for parent group leaders. We help schools organize profitable fun runs and a thon fundraisers with our platform called FundHub. For those who don't know, my name is Maggie. I'm the marketing director here. I'll be your host today, and I'm so excited to welcome Elena. Elena, welcome. You're one of our fundraising coaches and a former teacher.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Happy to be here.
So we are so happy you're here today, and we're going to go over some wacky, often hilarious ways to get teachers and staff involved in your school fundraisers today. So without further ado, Elena, why don't you go ahead and kick things off and tell us a little bit about your experience, as well as what we're going to cover here today.
Absolutely. I'm super excited to be talking about this topic today. Like Maggie said, as someone who's been on both sides of the classroom door, inside the classroom as the chaos coordinator, teacher, and outside as the fundraising coordinator, I totally get it. I taught elementary school, mostly third grade, for 10 years while we lived in Illinois. And then, like probably many of you, I was recruited into being the PTO fundraising chair because we are people who say yes, right? And ended up loving it, planning fun runs. You'll see in the picture there, fall festivals while I lived in Tennessee and now in Iowa. So I've seen plenty of silly reward experiences kind of around the middle of the country. And now as a fundraising coach, I get to help school leaders like you make fundraising fun every step of the way.
Absolutely.
So kind of what you'll see there, speaking of fun, right? Today, we're going to dive into simple, high impact ways to get teacher and staff involved because their participation really can change the energy and success of your event.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk through some simple low pressure ideas that won't overwhelm your staff because they're always juggling a lot already. We'll also be sharing some of the wackiest incentives we've seen. These are the kind that really get your whole community talking and sometimes even the news.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, we'll cover some strategies to help you get your teachers and principals to say yes to joining in without adding stress or budget strain to the event. So even though it's a quick session today, we're going to cover a lot and you definitely won't be leaving empty-handed. Right, Maggie?
That's right. Yeah, we're going to be covering a ton of examples from real schools, which I always find super helpful, like actual examples other schools have pulled off. And you're also, just for registering today, you're going to be getting a free templated teacher and staff letter that you can actually edit and use for your own school as something kind of helpful, a resource for you to have. So what's going to happen, just a little housekeeping stuff here, you're going to get an email tomorrow with this webinar recording, so it is being recorded, don't worry, as well as that free template. And then we will, at the end of this session, have a few minutes for a Q&A. So if you do have questions throughout the presentations, just throw them in the chat and then we'll address them at the end of the webinar. All right. So before we get into dunk tanks and silly string and all of the fun stuff you can see in these pictures here, I do want to point out an interesting statistic that we found from nonprofit Source, which they do a national charitable giving survey every year. And you can see the statistic says here, 67 principals report turning fundraising decisions over to their PTO or PTA, even though experts believe this hands-off approach actually hampers a fundraiser's success. So I'm kind of curious for everyone who's tuned in here today, if you want to just put in the chat on a scale of, let's say, 5 to 1 or 1 to 5, 5 being your principal is super involved. I mean, they're the one in the dunk tank. They're probably one of these examples. They're super involved in your event. To 1, not involved at all. And maybe 3 is somewhere in the middle. They're involved at like an administrative level, like they approve the event, but they're not really engaged with it. I'm sort of curious, take kind of a temperature of the room where everyone's coming from today. Because if 67% is the norm, like they're kind of the ones not super involved, what we're going to be talking about today is that sort of 33%, and show you kind of what's possible when admin and staff really take a hands-on approach instead. So Elena, kind of break this down for us. What can we learn from these school examples today?
Sure. When principals and staff really get involved, that special 33% we're talking about, it can change everything, not just for students, but your donation totals too. And that's because staff really are the heart of a school community. They're visible, they're trusted, they have that daily connection with the students. So when they participate, even in the smallest ways, it tells families this event matters, it's important. Plus,
Mm-hmm.
when staff join in, students are more engaged, it gets the parents more engaged, and you're creating that buzz, that hype, that kind of
Yeah.
maximizes the energy around the school. So also, staff participation makes the event feel school-wide, not just something PTO is doing and putting together. So bringing in that whole community. And lastly, small actions can make a big impact. So even the little things, cheering the kids on, throwing on some spirit gear, handing out prizes, they affect that energy we're talking about. And we'll kind of go into those simple ideas in just a minute here.
Yep, exactly. So we want to talk about how to keep staff participation simple and doable as a great place to start, right? So I'm kind of looking at the chat here and seeing what our scores were from that little survey. I'm seeing a lot of middle of the road. So kind of a lot of twos, a lot of threes. And we've certainly got some fives in there. So there's certainly some principals doing the dunk tank, absolutely. But kind of principals being involved just at that sort of administrative level. And so if that's kind of where you're at, this slide is going to be really helpful for you. We know every school looks different. Maybe your teachers are stretched thin, your principal isn't super involved, you've got a really small staff, right? All schools are different. So not every idea has to mean whipped cream pies or kissing an animal, right? And so Alina, what are some fun, low pressure ways teachers and staff can still get involved and make a big impact?
Right. I would say start with the easy wins. One simple way with kickoff announcements or morning pep talks. So this can be your front office staff or principal, assistant principal, taking just a minute to get the kids excited about the fundraiser over the intercom in the morning, maybe if they're headed, even at the end when they're headed out to the buses.
Mm-hmm.
Another really fun, low pressure way is adding a little school spirit to the mix. Have them wear themed costumes or simple spirit gear. It doesn't have to be over the top. Hand out extra school t-shirts, maybe wear a crazy hat, or
Okay,
even some
love
fun
it.
props. Stick them in
I
a
didn't know we were
box.
doing hats. I should go get my Halloween box. I'm just kidding.
Stick them in a box. Staff can kind of join in without planning an outfit and just grab something from the office if you drop it off. So easy, low stress way to boost excitement. And kids love seeing their teachers show off some school pride. And during campaign period, event day, kind of throw in a mix. Another easy one is having staff help deliver those prizes. Some schools like to do a prize patrol, which is super fun. You can keep on the unicorn hat, throw on a tutu, push around a little decorative cart. And this is a great task to kind of get counselors or special education teachers, kind of the teachers that don't have a classroom full of kids all the time. So that's where you can kind of use your specials teachers, elective teachers, especially the gym teachers doing a fun run, a fit-a-thon. You can get them to do the muscle warm-ups to kick things off.
Yeah.
Maybe run with them the last final laps. Maybe the music teacher is your DJ for the day. The art teacher helps the classes build some signs to bust through for a run or whatever it might be. Again, simple, high energy ways to boost excitement and make it feel school-wide. And finally, make it easy for classroom teachers to share. Give them leaderboard links, reminder messages for parents, how close their class is to hitting a goal. Quick daily shout outs, leaderboard updates posted on the board in the morning, create some friendly competition against the classroom across the hall, try to beat each other out. Throw it in their newsletter. I love to encourage teachers to give it as a homework assignment, like register your kids tonight and get a little prize or something. And those are the little nudges that keep the fundraiser top of mind. Some schools too, they'll even do small teacher incentives, a gift card for classes reaching
Mm.
their goal or high registration. And let's be honest, those teachers can use the free coffee or the free Amazon gift card.
Yeah, for sure. There's nothing wrong with the teacher incentive. Absolutely. We've seen a lot of schools do that. And when we say these are kind of low pressure ideas, we also mean for like event planners too, for all of you guys watching. So a lot of the things Elena just talked about, they do require some resources to make happen, right? Like if you're going to have your principal do morning announcements, you want to have sort of a ready-made script for him or her. If you're going to do spirit wear, you want to make sure that you have like a spirit week calendar that goes out far in advance so teachers and staff know what to expect. Right? If your gym teacher or music teacher is the DJ, they need a playlist to be able to use for the event. So what's great is if I said you'd get a little sneak peek of FundHub sort of throughout this presentation, one of the things that we offer is something called our event toolbox. So this has over 100 resources you can use anytime you run a fundraiser on the platform. So you're never starting from scratch. We've really kind of got you covered in that way. So like I said, you can kind of see this list: ready-made promos, templated spirit wear calendars, hundreds of incentives ideas. I mean, we're just scratching the surface today. And then some features as well. So we have a live incentive tracker, and then like what Elena was saying, the classroom leaderboard. I mean, teachers are humans too, and we all love that competition. So having a live leaderboard that teachers can check like right from their phone and give updates to classes like in the morning or before they leave to go home to update their families really drives participation, makes a big difference. So the cool thing is all of these features are accessible right from your phone if you use FundHub. So as you're planning these ways to get teachers and staff involved, you can also be equipped to make it easy for you as well. All right, here we are. It's the fun part. Let's talk about these things. All right, so wild staff dares and challenges, low cost, high energy, absolutely proven way to boost participation. Alina, talk us through why these work so well for school fundraisers.
Yeah, I mean, staff dares work because it's huge amounts of excitement without costing you really anything. So
Mm-hmm.
they give the school that big school-wide challenge to all rally around together. And I mean, nothing really gets kids hyped like the promise of getting to pie their teacher in the face, right?
Sure.
So, and
Why
then
not?
it's directly tied to reaching your overall donation goal, which is ultimately everybody's goal. So it keeps everybody motivated to register, share, and then they can't wait to gather donations to see what that see the unforgettable dare happen. So
Mm-hmm.
again, creating that buzz around the school because families are talking about it too. And
Mm-hmm.
again, the best part to remember is it doesn't cost you anything, and it's big time energy and participation boost that you don't see otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
this
right.
is the moment we've all been waiting for, right, Maggie? So let's hear
Yeah,
about
let's get into
the
these
wild dares
examples
we've seen
here.
schools pull off.
Absolutely. So all of these examples come from schools that have worked with us. So the first two I want to talk about involve your school roof, believe it or not. So we have had several schools. One of them, so Belmont Hills, actually had their admin staff, so 3 of their admin, including their principal, camp out overnight on the school roof and then do like live check-ins on Facebook kind of throughout the night. And then whether students were up watching them or watched them in the morning, it was hilarious. And it also was something that really spread the word on social media, which is great because you're able to bring in, kind of that awareness and those donors from all over the world that way. Second one also involved the roof, Switzer Elementary. The PTO convinced the principal to spend the day on the roof. They had a desk up there, chair, phone. I don't know if it was working, but they had a phone up there. He had pom-poms. And so he was up there as students were coming into school, and as they were leaving, he might have even been when they did recess and things like that. So hilarious. I mean, I guess you got to get your principal on the roof. That's the lesson there. And then of course, Pie the Teacher. We've brought this one up a lot. It's a classic. I love the way that Delphi Academy of Florida did it because they actually did a special pie rally at the end of their fun run. So they had the top fundraisers from each class got to pie a staff member during this huge outdoor assembly, and it was really fun. It rewarded the students that raised the most money, but it was also really inclusive because everybody got to watch, the pieing happen. And then last but certainly not least for this slide is kiss a pig or any type of animal, I guess, although pig is a fan favorite. Republic Middle School's principal promised to smooch a pig if they reached their overall goal. They certainly did it, and he was there at an assembly smooching this little pig. I also want to mention that this is a great one for middle school. So if you're watching this from a middle school, even a high school, the older students, you got to go rent a pig, I guess. Like that's the secret. Got a couple other examples here, which I think this one goes into one we just had in the chat as well. So the shave your head. So Homestead Elementary principal promised to shave his head if they reached their 50 state challenge goal, which this one's really cool because it's not just reaching their overall school donation goal, which is awesome, but it's actually for a challenge that if they raise donations from all 50 states, he was going to shave his head. On Fund Hub, we have a live donation map so they could actually see. And then, in the assembly.
That one's pretty crazy. And I saw
someone
in the chat. Someone in the chat had a principal shave their head too. So I think it's crazy, but maybe it's more popular than we think.
Yep, I see duct tape to the wall. That's another great one. Human Sunday. So that actually goes into the next one as well. Human Sunday, I love it, but let's do human taco. I mean, we got to change it up sometimes. So Riverview Elementary is a great example of this. Their principal every single year gets turned into a different dish when they reach their fundraising goal. And it's become this like annual tradition. I mean, they reach their goal every year because they know their principal is going to get turned into something crazy. She's been, of course, the Sunday, the human taco. She was a human pizza. They did a human Caesar salad one year, which I think takes the cake. I think that one's my favorite. So bring that to your school. I don't know what you need. Lettuce, croutons, some cheese, I guess, a bunch of Caesar dressing. And then the last one, another messy but fun one, is the slime showdown. I love this one because it kind of harkens back to our Nickelodeon days. But this is, your staff sits in like a little kiddie pool. You make some homemade slime, get a bucket, dump that thing. Kids love it. It's simple as that. Like Elena said, it doesn't have to cost a lot of money to create these amazing experiences for kids. Another one in the chat, dye your hair or beard. I love that one. We've seen that one done as well.
I saw that one too.
So Elena, I do have to ask, have you ever taken part in one of these challenges? And also, what advice would you give schools who want to pull off some of these big wild dares?
Sure. As a teacher, I've stayed pretty clean, but absolutely as a PTO chair, I've definitely seen and been a part of some of the dares over the years. I saw a lot of people put this one too. We had a brave principal. She let us duct tape her to the wall, but then while she was stuck there, we also got to pie her in the face. So, so
it's double whammy, got it.
Yeah. If you're thinking about planning these big staff dares, here's just a few tips. Tie the dare directly to your fundraising milestone so the students kind of know what they're working towards. Like you had said with the principal, every year they're looking at what he's going to turn into. Second, let the staff choose a list of dares they're comfortable with because you want them excited and not stressed about what's coming at them, literally probably coming at them, right? So it's helpful to kind of sit down with the principal and get a list of options they like. I had one principal, she was like, I am down for anything, but I will not kiss a pig. And we're in Iowa, so it was a pretty valid concern, right?
I mean, I get it.
Country here. So cross off the ones that, are no-goes, star the ones they love, and kind of build a little list you can work from.
Yeah.
Lastly, make it super visible. Put it at the closing assembly where all the students and staff can celebrate together. Live stream it, share some photos on social media so families can see all the fun action too. And the more people see the fun, the more momentum it's building for your fundraiser.
And that's also a good way. I know you had mentioned it at the beginning, but like local news loves stuff like this. So that's very possible that if you post it, it could get picked up by your local news station as well. All right. So now on to another idea here. Let's talk about school-wide races. So these are a really fun way to get multiple teachers and staff involved at once, which is sometimes an easier sell, right? To say like, hey, you're going to do this as a group, rather than just like, hey, we want you to do something kind of solo. It gets a little peer pressure, a little FOMO in there, right? Like they don't want to be the only teacher not doing the inflatable suit race. So you might get a little
Right.
bit more buy-in that way. Um, Here's some examples here on the slide. We had one school do a Mario themed fundraiser. And so at the end, when they reached their goal, they had their principal and VP do a live Mario Kart race on scooters throughout the school halls. We also had the principal from Gullah Elementary dress up as a Ninja Turtle, put on rollerblades, and race throughout the school as well. I guess he did do that on his own, but I mean, they raised over six figures. He kind of had to. And then last but not least, the video you see here, which I just love, came to us this spring from Great Oak Elementary. Their staff put on these inflatable costumes and ran/waddled to the finish line. As you can see, like all the students were lined up outside. They got to watch it and cheer it on. I'm assuming the cow won. She is just booking it in that suit, which like kudos
I
to
mean,
her.
do
I'm
you
sure
see
that was
all those
difficult.
unicorn? I see a couple unicorns in there. We're
Yeah,
all
you
on the
could have
same
been
page.
out there. Where were you? So, okay, actually, a good question. If you were a teacher in one of these races, which kind of challenge would you be signing up for?
Okay, well, they're all pretty epic. I'll give the schools that. I love a good competition, so I think I would go with the Mario Kart scooter
Okay,
relay race.
nice.
Super fun, can't pass that one up, and I could be Princess Peach. So
Yeah,
I go
great,
with that one.
perfect,
All
sold.
right. Yeah. So if you're thinking about doing one of these school-wide races, here's a couple tips for that. Pick a theme that ties to your event, kind of what we've seen here. Superheroes, video game characters, something totally off the wall makes it extra memorable for the students. Don't forget to build some hype leading up to it. Maybe you have a large countdown outside the office, some flyers go out.
Yeah,
Or I really like this idea, allow the students to vote on maybe either which teachers will race or what costume they'll wear. So
oh,
it's
that's
making it a
fun.
big school celebration, kind of including everyone. And of
Yeah,
course, keep it simple and safe. The scooters, the trikes, these open field relays, easy to set up, safe for everyone, and pure entertainment, really. I mean, look at those
yep,
guys. So,
I know.
and then your school-wide race turns into one of those memorable moments that they never forget. And then they probably want to hear about what they're going to do next year, right? And maybe the principal is secretly hoping the school doesn't hit the goal at that point. You never know.
No, no, don't say that. No, but it's a great point because what you're doing is you're creating this like annual thing that the students, like if you do this one year and then you launch your fun run the next year, they're going to remember the race that happened the year before,
Yeah, they're
as
waiting
well
for
as
the
the
big
families.
reveal. Yeah.
Right. So it creates some like momentum even going into next year's event, which is great, as we know, for participation. All right, so we've talked a lot about kind of those big school-wide experiences, but you also want to think about smaller, more personal incentives as well. So these are moments where either individual students or even classrooms get to do something fun with their principal or teachers that they'd never normally get to do outside of a fundraiser. And I do also want to take a second to mention, like you can see this this principal here with the silly string on her face. I don't know if you can tell, but she is smiling. So like they also have a good time with these too. So don't feel like too like, oh, I don't want to ask them. They're gonna hate to do this. Like these are also experiences that your teachers and staff and principal don't get to do usually unless you're bringing them to them as the PTO leader. So Elena, why don't you go ahead and kind of walk us through some of these great examples of student or classroom incentives?
Sure. These kinds of incentives really are my favorite. They're super personal and unforgettable for the students and fun. And like you said, even the staff, they like it. They're not going to necessarily turn it down. So it's not about handing out another trinket or prize. It's about giving the kids that experience they always remember. And we even try to do it at home, right? At the holidays, like have the moments and the memories. Don't give them the stuff, right? Because it sticks with
Mhm.
them the longest.
Yeah.
So maybe that's being principal or gym coach for the day, that once in a lifetime chance for the students to be in charge for once, even if it's just for an hour or half a day. Popsicles with the principal, popcorn with the principal, picnic with the principal, right? These are easy, super simple, but such a special privilege for them. So they feel celebrated for their fundraising efforts. Another one you see there, I feel like a more unique idea is the student versus staff Mario Kart party. So this might be for your, just your few top raising students, and they'll face off in a tournament. Maybe it's on a big screen and it's like a big gaming showdown. Who doesn't love that, right? And then this Silly String Wars one, this one is so popular because it's easy to plan and it's super fun. So many schools have a lot of success with this one, and you would see that example of North Lake Hills Elementary there.
Okay.
So this one, every class met their goal. So then, well, whichever ones did, got to face off with their teacher. So super fun.
Yeah,
And these are the
absolutely.
ones that cost very little again. Big deal for students, and teachers and principals get to celebrate and have a little fun in a low pressure way too. So works for everybody.
All right. Well, we are nearing the end, but before we do that, we do want to cover a really important topic here. So we've talked a lot about these really fun ways to involve staff and teachers and your principal, but the big question is, you have these great ideas, but how do you actually get people to say yes? So Elena, what are some of the best ways to encourage our teachers and staff to sign up and actually be a part of the fun?
Yeah, I would say first start early, give principals and teachers plenty of time to kind of mentally prepare and think about what they're comfortable with. And teachers are super creative too, so they might even come up with something crazier than what you were thinking. And if it feels collaborative instead of kind of thrown at them, they're all in with plenty of enthusiasm. Second, show them the impact. Tie their participation directly to how it's going to benefit the classrooms, the students. If they see that fun challenge helps improve a school program, it's more meaningful, right? Keep it light and fun at first. Go with the costume day, the quick shout outs, those low pressure appearances during the event. That way they're not feeling overwhelmed. Also, make it optional, but celebrate those who want to join in, share their photos, their videos, build that positive culture so it's feeling exciting and rewarding for everyone involved. And finally, share success stories from schools in your district or state, or steal some from the presentation today. When staff see like what their peers are doing, it's easier to imagine themselves in that situation, and they'll say yes. So this is where having a fundraising coach too, like myself or any of us, we can kind of bring you those real life examples and make it simple for everybody to get involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do also want to mention again, one free resource you're going to get from us right away just for registering is this teacher and staff letter template you can kind of see on here. This is something you'll get the link to tomorrow in that follow-up email. You can open it right up into Canva if you're familiar with that. Edit it with your own info, print it or download it and send it out to your staff. Also, I want to mention this is just a taste of what you get with FundHub. So this template is a very simplified version of one of our dynamic flyers. So we have about 19 dynamic flyers in FundHub. They're professionally designed, automatically pull in your event details. So all you literally have to do is download and use it. So another great way to save some time with FundHub there as well.
Yeah, and there's honestly so many powerful tools inside FunHub. We can only list a couple today. So if you're curious to see some more, you can test drive FunHub with a guided demo with one of us coaches. And this is kind of where you get a feel for how we help you plan, promote, manage your entire fundraiser with a lot less stress and pretty easy, right? So you can use the link here on our website. We'd love to show you around.
All right, so I do want to see before we wrap if we do have any questions. I do see one in the chat about like the best month to conduct a fun run, and then how far in advance you should be advertising, which is good, if you are trying to host a fun run where you do get your principal and staff, and teachers involved, you definitely, like Elena said, want to be planning pretty early. We have a great answer actually from one of our other fundraising coaches in the chat. 3 weeks is a great pledge period period, meaning kickoff, advertising, promote to event day. So you at least want to have 3 weeks of time to be building up your event, driving donations, hyping up if you're going to have this like end of event race or, pie the principal or whatever you're going to do. So you need time to kind of build up that hype and drive those actions. Because like Elena said, those big experiences are always tied to your donation goals and milestones. So your students, your families, they got to participate if they want to see the principal get slimed or whatever. So great question there, Joe. Thank you for putting that in. Also, if you have any other questions, obviously we're running out of time here, but we are absolutely available on email. We're on all of the social platforms. Feel free to send us a message there and we can absolutely get any other questions answered as well. Before we wrap, Elena, big thank you to you for sharing so many amazing ideas and tips. Before we officially close out, do you have any other final thoughts or quick advice you'd like to leave us with?
Sure, I'll keep it pretty quick. I would say my first advice is just to ease in, pick a couple ideas, see what clicks with your school and community, right? You don't have to overhaul everything at once. Make some small tweaks, make a big impact, and kind of learn what works with your team as you go. Everybody's a little bit different. Remember too, we talked about staff involvement doesn't have to be over the top. So throw some simple things in there. It goes a long way with the kids. But if your staff is game, go big or go home, right? A little embarrassment can raise a lot. I mean, just ask the principal who kissed the pig. So
right, they brought in a lot of money for that pig kiss. So hey,
right.
All right. Well, thank you everyone so much for being here today. I also want to point out we are having another amazing webinar on August 20th. This one is all about boosting your parent and volunteer participation for your PTO or PTA. Another webinar that's going to be packed with some great strategies and tips that you can put to use right away as you get into back to school season, which I know we are like fully getting into swing of the back to school season. So we feel you on that. Again, thank you all so much for joining us today. Elena, you were wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your tips. And the rest of you have a great week and we will see you at the next one.